The Fourth Way by P.D. Ouspensky. Chapter 7. And keep in mind that Ouspensky was a student of Gurdjieff's, so the questions are always asked by Ouspensky and the answers are given by Gurdjieff. Question. When we ask how to be less mechanical, we are told to be more awake. When we ask how to wake up, the answer is not to identify, and when we ask how not to identify, the answer is to self-remember. This seems to be a circle, each method being a counterpart of the other. Can we get any further help to attempt any or all of these? Answer. It is not exactly right because each of these attempts has its own peculiar feature and taste. They are all different. It is necessary to try from all possible sides in order to break the wall. It is very high and a very hard wall that we have to break. But we do not begin with that. We begin with our plurality. When I first spoke of the many I's in us, I said that new I's jump up every moment, control things for a brief time, and then disappear, and many of them never meet. When you realize that you are not one, that you are many, that you may know something for certain in the morning and know nothing about it in the afternoon, then this realization is the beginning. I do not mean that if we realize this plurality we can change it and become different, but this realization is the first step. Question. I do not see why different likes should mean different I's or groups of I's. Answer. Because the same I would be identical. When you say I, you think of the whole thing. In reality, it's only a small part of you. We can exist only because we cannot put our whole capital into each I. Otherwise, we would be bankrupt. We only put pennies. Our I's are pennies. Suppose you have a certain amount of money, all in pennies, and every moment you say, I, you use a penny. That is a mistake. Even such as we are worth more than a penny. In this system, the word I can be spoken of in 5 ways, on 5 different levels. Man, in his ordinary state, is a multiplicity of I's. This is the first meaning. When a man decides to work, an observing I or group of I's appears, as shown in the diagram. This is the second meaning. The third meaning, indicated by the smallest circle, is when deputy steward appears. He has control over a number of I's. The fourth meaning, indicated in the middle circle, is when the steward appears. He has control over all I's. The fifth meaning is that of the master. He is drawn as the big circle outside, as he has a time body. He knows the past and also the future, although there must be different degrees of this. Question. Is it possible to increase the number of I's interested in the work? Answer. We have enough I's. They increase themselves. The aim is to connect them and to help them become one I, interested in the work. If many different I's are interested and do not know one another, one I or group of I's can do one thing and another thing without knowing. You say I speaking about yourself only in relation to your work for a definite aim. Self-study, study of the system, self-remembering, and so on. In other things, you must realize that this is not really you, but only a small part of you, probably imaginary. When you learn to distinguish that, when it becomes almost a habit in the sense of being constant, you will feel yourself in the right way. But if you always say I to everything without discrimination, it only helps your mechanical tendencies and strengthens them. And what a quantity of things we do without wanting to do them at all. We have to do this and that, think about this, feel about that. So one thing after another takes all our energy. Nothing remains for real work. I said in the first lecture that these hundreds and hundreds of eyes form certain groups in which several eyes work together. Some of these groups are natural, others are artificial, and some are even pathological. The first natural division of eyes is according to functions: intellectual, emotional, instinctive, and moving. But apart from these, there are many other divisions which can be called different personalities. Question: what is the difference between personalities and eyes? Answer: you can say that personalities consist of different eyes. Everyone can find several personalities in himself. A real self-study begins with a study of these different personalities. Because we cannot study eyes, there are too many of them. But with personalities, it's easier. For each personality or group of eyes means some special inclination, a special tendency, or sometimes a disinclination. Question: are there any special observations one can make to see personalities? Answer: study of your particular likes will help. For instance, if you find something you definitely like throughout your life from childhood, you will see that there is a certain personality built around it. We are creatures of likes. We like all sorts of things, but we only have a certain number of genuine likes. By studying them, one finds personalities. Question: are all personalities bound up with likes and none with dislikes? Answer: I do not think normal people have such strong dislikes. Dislikes are usually accidental, so do not trust them, but there are things you have always liked, and there are some things you just imagine you like. Personalities can be very different. Some are based on real facts and real tastes and inclinations, while others are based on imagination and on wrong ideas about oneself. So it's necessary to separate personalities that can be used in some way from those that cannot be useful for self-development and so have to be destroyed or at least subdued. Question: it seems to me that some personalities disappear for quite a long period of time. Answer: they do not disappear. They may just go behind the scenes. If they are merely occasional eyes, they may disappear, but personalities do not disappear so easily, although they may be hidden from view, or they may be sacrificed for some times. In order to manifest one personality, one has to sacrifice several others. Question: how to find out which personalities are more real and which imaginary? Answer: life provides tests for personalities. Suppose you think you like something very much, and then life puts you into conditions where you can enjoy where you can enjoy what you thought you liked. But you find instead that you do not enjoy it at all. You only imagined you liked it. Then you can see that this personality was imaginary. Question: what determines that a personality or a group of eyes is useless and should be eliminated? Answer: personalities can be divided. Self-development begins with magnetic center, that is, a group of eyes or personality interested in certain things. When a man meets a school, his magnetic center begins to accumulate practical and theoretical knowledge and experience, which comes from the study of being, and in this way it eventually becomes deputy steward. Besides this personality, there are other personalities, some of which can develop and some that do not agree with it at all. So some personalities can join in the work. Others are neutral, and so long as they are not in the way, can be allowed to remain for some time. And some have to be eliminated. When magnetic center becomes transformed into deputy steward, you make certain decisions, formulate a certain aim, undertake a certain work. Then he can find out which personality can work with him and which cannot. If a personality is against your aim and can harm it, or does not want it, or does not know about it, then obviously it cannot work with the deputy steward. So, they can be sorted out, but first one must know them. Then, when personalities are put in order, and they are grouped around magnetic center, which means deputy steward, they will produce an effect on essence, just by their existence. Question: is deputy steward conscience? Answer: conscience takes part in forming deputy steward, but you cannot say, you cannot say it is deputy steward because conscience is bigger, much bigger. Question: is there a connection between magnetic center and consciousness? Answer: yes, but not a direct one. There are several different states between them. It is better to say that magnetic center is the ground from which permanent I grows. Through several transformations, magnetic center becomes permanent I much, much later. It is a seed of permanent I, but only the seed. It has to become something quite different first. Now try to understand the most important division of all for practical use. It is the division of I and, for me, Ouspensky, in quotes. What is I? We have no permanent I, as opposed to Ouspensky. But all interest in the system, all our efforts in self-study and self-development, what is sometimes called observing I, all this is the beginning of I. All the rest is Ouspensky, or false personality. Ouspensky is our imaginary picture of ourselves because we put into it all that we think about ourselves, which is generally imaginary. All study comes down to the study of this imaginary picture and to separating ourselves from it. So at present, you call I your evaluation of the system. This is you. From your attitude to the system, work in the system, interest in the system, I can grow. On this basis, you can separate I from false personality. There is no guarantee that it will be absolutely right, but this method has a great practical value. False personality is always against the work for self-development and spoils the work of all other personalities. It can never be useful.